if the Welland Jackfish go a perfect record this week, okay? Next Monday, I will don the Welland Jackfish Hawaiian shirt.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, man.
Ryan, if you're watching, you know what to do.
Well, guys, I guess you can say the IBL transfer window is open. Welcome to another episode of the IBL Inside Pitch. Neil Srivastava, Braeden Ferrington, Mark Pare here with you. Glad to have you with us for yet another week of some jam-packed baseball content in the Intercounty Baseball League. No shortage of storylines to talk about. I'm going to do things a little bit differently this week. We are still going to go 9 through 1 on the power rankings for the week, but I'd be remiss if I did not touch on the fun Friday night that we saw in the Intercounty Baseball League. I said no shortage of storylines throughout the week. Friday night alone, if you were a fan of the Intercounty Baseball League, you got your money's worth, to say the very least.
I actually did. My phone was going bonkers on various reasons for that night alone. It was great to see. And of course, I'm trying to call a baseball game too. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, it was cool because, maybe some people know about it, some people don't know about it. So I don't want to be the one to ruin it for anybody, but it doesn't happen quite often that you kind of get this buzz in the league. So it was cool to tune in, that's for sure.
Definitely was.
Byron Redstein snapping Frank Garces' perfection in the 8th inning in a game where the London Majors and the Barrie Baycats didn't actually score a run until extra innings. 3 grand slams in Toronto. And, of course, the game you were calling, Neil, Fernando Rodney, his first career IBL save at home at Bernie Arbor
At
Stadium.
home, yes. Yeah, it was very nice. And like I said, my arms went all chickeny because, it's still, you hear his music hit and everything else, and you just immediately get taken back to those days when he was out there closing for the Nationals, the Tigers, the Twins, you name it out there. And of course, apparently on the broadcast, I forgot the Tampa Bay Rays, but maybe that was just as a Jays fan, that's just kind of one of those teams you want to forget about.
But yeah, just so many storylines to go through, and it continued on throughout the weekend. So let's just get right to it. All the games happening in the Intercounty Baseball League this past weekend, as we start with number 9 on the power rankings this week. Well, how quickly do they drop, going from 2nd last week and 9th this week? The 4-6 Guelph Royals, a 4-game losing skid. What is going on with the current edition of the Guelph Royals? We'll touch on the other piece of off-field business in just a moment.
I think the panic button was officially hit over the weekend when they lost back-to-back games to Kitchener. It's almost like losing to your sister playing video games and everything. You just don't do it twice. You can't do it twice in a row. You just can't. And you look at the numbers and everything else. Yeah, they had some numbers on Friday night, but after that, I think they had eight total hits in 2 ball games. You're not going to win too many, 11 total hits in 2 ball games. You're not going to win too many baseball games when you get 11 hits in 2 games.
No, you hit that one right on the head there, Neil. For a veteran lineup like this, I don't know, Neil. Like, you know more because you've been around that organization for a while, but they have a standard, and this is very much below that especially for the offense side. They need to be better, and clearly now the panic button has hit. So yeah, it's cool to see some faces come back, and hopefully they can turn this around because it's a sinking ship really fast.
Well, exactly. You go from the highs of being in the finals last year. You're trying to build momentum off it, and everything you've done so far this year is just pretty much blown up in your face, literally.
Yeah, you talk about the lack of hitting. Just 3 hits on Sunday alone, all of them coming against Yadi and Martinez. and just getting blanked, getting shut out on the road after the performance on Saturday. So the response was not so nice after that loss to the Kitchener Panthers on Saturday afternoon. But, let's touch on the off-field business, of course. It is now team official. We talked about it last week a little bit. Claudio Custodio now officially a member of the roster as part of the team. Sebastian Rodriguez also getting signed. He got the start on Sunday. Hector Jan also getting signed too. And when you look at that pitching staff, just the starters alone, Claudio Custodio, Jacob Cush, Kyle Thomas. You can throw Hector Jan in there. You can throw Sebastian Rodriguez in there if need be. The pitching staff's starting to look a little bit scary, guys.
It's definitely scary. It's definitely scary, but it's just, again, we just have to. I don't know what's going on with Jacob Cush, but he hasn't been the same pitcher since he cut his hair. That's the only thing I can equate it to. It just hasn't been the same guy. It's just, he hasn't been the same guy. He cut it right off. He hasn't been the same guy. Like, I don't know if it was something with the flow or everything. He's just not feeling at home on them. Like, he's not like he's pitched at home twice and lost. Like, it's just not it's not where it's supposed to happen. You're not supposed to lose in that stadium. You're supposed to lose on the road, guys.
Yeah, too much wind on the back of the neck right now. So
I just don't know what it is. It's something that I'm sure he's going to figure it out. But yeah, I'm just blaming it on the hair right now.
It's the easy way.
Yeah. It's all due to the flow. Well, speaking of the flow is going down even lower for the Brantford Red Sox, who are number 8 on the list this week, up from number 9. The only team with a longer losing streak than the Guelph Royals. They've now lost 7 straight ball games. What say you guys about the Brantford Red Sox this week?
Well, we got to start with, obviously, congratulations to Tim Hollick signing with the Ottawa Titans on the weekend, hitting his first career home run in the Frontier League as well. So props to you, man. And just all the best to you. Hopefully you can turn the corner up there and, make a name for yourself. So congrats. I'm sure Fernando Roddy will congratulate you as well.
Yeah. I've seen some clips of him swinging, and he can definitely swing it.
You can definitely swing it, no question.
Yeah, there's no soft at bat for him from what I've seen. So good for him, and it's a cool thing for just as a player, right? You have all this bundle of nerves going into your first pro game, and then to do that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a cheap one either. It was a good one. And I guarantee he can probably admit too that he probably blacked it when he was running the bases, because it's a moment. It's a cool moment that he's probably been waiting for a while. So to get that opportunity and to capitalize on it, good for him.
Yeah, but getting back to the question at hand as far as the Brantford Red Sox, and it's just like, okay, so they're adding pieces, hoping things are starting to get a gel and everything else. But it's just like, this team's better than 1-9. There's no question about it. Yeah. There's the atmosphere around this team and everything else. They're still all staying positive. They got to get something to go their way this week. They just have to find one. They're going to have to win an ugly one somehow. Gonna have to steal one.
Yeah. One positive I do want to bring up, looking at both of those games against Chatham-Kent and London, even in the losses, Brantford out-hit both of those teams in those games and still came up with the L's.
Yeah. Yeah, that shows that they don't quit. It's just obviously things aren't going their way, and I don't know, maybe somebody has to step up and just say, hey, you know what? I got this. Team, watch how this is done. I don't know. I don't know what's it going to take for them to get off of this losing streak, but it's not looking great, but hopefully they can turn it around. Like Jeremy Bayou, if you're watching, because I know you do.
Yep.
Make sure your back is sore after this weekend. Put it on.
Swing from you have to.
Let's move on now to the 7th-ranked team this week, the 3-6 Barrie Baycats. And I didn't have the 2 IBL finalists from a year ago being this deep on the power rankings this deep into the season, to say the very least. The Barrie Baycats, a +6 run differential, splitting this 2-game weekend, including that 3-1 victory over the London Majors. Garces versus Payano, guys. That was quite the duel between those two. But of course, the Barry Bay Cats 3-6. Another team that is a lot better than what their record is showing, or are we starting to get what a true view of these Barry Bay Cats are at this point in time?
It's hard to say. It's really hard to say because I know again they're reeling. They're not quite all there and everything else. They're just trying to get used to this new identity. There's some pieces that are out of the lineup that they were very vital to last year's lineup and everything else. Not to harp on the same thing we did last week, but you can tell it's just a different flow in the top of that order right now. That's not a slight against the guys that are in the lineup here either. It's just it's a different flow. Things that take a little while to get used to.
Yeah, I think it's just someone again. Not to harp on it again, but someone needs to step up and not take accountability, but more of a leadership role and say, hey, like, let's go. Like it's time. Like you guys you just won the IBL championship a year ago. Like you know how to win. It's I would say it's easy, but it's not. But at least they have pieces there that know how to do it. So let's find that groove. Let's get on a winning streak and then roll, as they say, roll cats.
Yeah.
As they say. To number 6 now, the Toronto Maple Leafs, 4th last week, 6th this week. Slugfest against Guelph, but 2 straight losses, sitting at 5-5 on the year, a 12-6 loss to the Welland Jackfish. Toronto Maple Leafs this week, guys. A couple of losses. Where do they go from here?
I think they're middle of the pack right now, and it's not a slight against the guys that are in the lineup again. It's just they're in the middle of the pack. They just don't seem to have. I don't want to say they don't have all the pieces to get out of the middle, but they definitely have a good back end. And again, shout out to Dustin Richardson, what he's been able to do on the mound himself personally. Like it's just impressive to watch him go out there and just absolutely shove it every time he goes out there and does it. Like I don't think he's still getting up a run at all or a run period in the last year and a half now. So yeah, it's crazy to watch him go out there and do it.
Yeah, that's kind of cool too, because like I feel like every time he's played in London the last couple of years, somehow there's always an injury. So to see him kind of go out and do this, it's a pretty good run. Because like he's been there, he's been at the top of the peak of the mountain, like.
Yeah.
And to now be able to still do it at his age, that's awesome. Like, but like you said, like middle of the pack. I think that's what we said in the preview show too. Like it's nothing that's gonna wow you. It's definitely not the bottom of the league. It's you know what you're gonna get, and hopefully they can kind of hit some balls out. But I will put this question out to you guys. Or even a thought. I would love to know, the stat wise, how many games they play at Christie Pitts when the wind is blowing out versus blowing in.
That would be a very interesting stat to track. Yeah.
I would love to see the numbers there because, like, obviously you get these crazy wild scores, and then all of a sudden you see like the random blip of like 2-0,
4-3, or 2-0, or 4-3 or something. It's like what happened there? Like
it's like
6 guys take the night off or something. Like what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, okay, what happened here? So I would love that stat at least. Maybe their marketing team can put something together and blast it everywhere. But mid pack, hopefully they can turn around. Ryan DeSantos, keep doing your thing. Marcus Connect, shot. I'd say probably that was a good sizable home run on a line because it wasn't it wasn't a cheapie either. So keep doing you.
Keep doing you. But yeah, it's just it's gonna see these guys. It's great to see Connect hitting the baseball again, and you can just see he's got that renewed passion again right now too. A lot of these guys we talk about, a lot of these older guys in the league, they're finding the passion again. They're playing with some younger guys, and maybe these younger guys are giving them a little nudge in the right direction. Saying, come on, old man, let's go for a run here or something like that. But yeah. Josh Williams is not going for a run. Just telling you that much. Stat wise, not running. Let's clarify that.
I want to give a special shout out too to John Javier, a 4.42 average, top 4 in the IBL. A guy that doesn't really get talked about all too
No.
often, doing some damage for the Leafs. They need those unsung heroes to really come through for them. That could be a huge difference in, whether or not they're a 15 win team, a 20 win team, and even up to 22, 25. Who knows?
Yeah, I feel like, you know what, going into the season, I really didn't recognize the name, to be honest with him. Sorry, buddy. But every time I tune in, it's like he's always coming up with these hits. And I'm like, okay, like, are we just going to, like, keep throwing to him, or are we just going to figure this out, pitching staff? Because he's at the top of the list. I don't know about any other pitcher in the league, but I knew me going into a game, I was like, okay, here are my guys. I cannot allow this to happen, regardless of what pitch I'm going to throw. Don't care. Usually for me, it was like 3, 4, 5 hitter I was facing. So I'm like, okay, that's not happening. But I don't know if any other pitchers do, but hey, stop throwing to him because he's making you look dumb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the better hitters in the IBL. He is at 19 hits on the season himself, and Toby Simmons of the London Majors leading the IBL in the hit category. Well, speaking of unsung heroes, we move to the number 5 team on the list, 8th last week, the Kitchener Panthers, another team at 5-5. How about Yosuke Fuji? 5 home runs on the season. He leads the IBL with a .464 average. The Kitchener Panthers, that home sweep against the Guelph Royals, 3 hits given up on Sunday, as we alluded to earlier. The only really big blip on the radar for the Panthers this week was going down 5-1 early against the Hamilton Cardinals, making a game of it later on, but ultimately they end up with a 2-1 record this past weekend.
And yeah, it was great watching Yosuke hit the ball and everything else. Of course, Sunday I immediately tuned in. Had to tune in for the first at bat because you're expecting him to hit another home run here. You let me down, man. You let me down. I'm kidding. That was great.
So I do have viewers.
You do have viewers. I was quiet watching this time. I wasn't announcing my presence in the chat because every time I do that, somebody puts a wrench beside my name. So that's beside the point.
Oh, man.
I did notice that on the Guelph game the other day too, when we were doing the game on Saturday, and you chimed in and saw the wrench, and I thought to myself, "That's what he means."
Yeah, I'm just like, can somebody take these ones off, please? Like, I'm just hanging out for a couple minutes here. Like, I don't need to have my presence announced here. No, please.
We need Neil anytime he shows up anywhere at the IBL ballparks. We need like a town crier going for him.
He's
hey,
here,
Mr. Neil Srivastava. Just put that on your voicemail. You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, it was. Honestly, it was nice to see them get 2 wins this weekend. Like for the most part, like I think they're younger, inexperienced teams. So I feel like, I just feel like, you know what, if their young core can kind of get together and have some belief, they could do something that's going to surprise probably both of us or all of us.
Yeah. Well,
and
no
like, especially when they get on a roll, like, they might not be, say, top 3, but like, they'll surprise some teams.
I think they have a capability just based on what we've seen in the last couple of weeks. They could finish probably 5 or 6, and and be a pain in the butt for somebody in that first round.
Oh gosh, yeah. I guess it's definitely not out of the picture by any means. I feel like it's just like with Fuji, they're going on a run this weekend. Like, okay, like that's an eye opener. Like, I don't think anyone was expecting that. Like, maybe you might run into a couple, but like he went on a roll this weekend.
Yeah. And it was just like, any of the stats or anything else, you read the line scores from his college days and everything else. Okay, he's a streaky hitter, but I wasn't expecting this power. I wasn't expecting this pop out of the lineup.
No, and you take a look at the 2 ballparks that he hit those 2 home runs as well.
Yeah.
Not easy ballpark to hit home runs
in.
No,
exactly. I'm just like, in the first pitch of the game off Boone, I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? Like, come on. That doesn't happen.
Well, also special shout out to Iosvani Penalve, who had a good week as well for the Kitchener Panthers, hitting .417 on the season. They also make a couple of moves as we talk about that transfer window here once again. I say transfer window very loosely. It's not a transfer
No,
window. It's just
no,
a
it's
lot of
not guys suddenly just.
transactions.
It's not a bunch of guys suddenly deciding, hey, I'm declaring myself for, somebody come pick me up. It doesn't happen like that in this league.
No. But Ayad Ansari ends up coming in a national team member for Pakistan, as well as Lucas Lefebvre, who started the year with the Welland Jackfish, now a member of the Kitchener Panthers, as they start to get a couple of transactions rolling after being a little bit quiet over the last couple of weeks in that department, just to kind of see where everything is settling.
Exactly. I think it's just.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just they're going to make some moves because I think they took that look at the first couple of weeks. Okay, what are we weak and where can we improve this team? What's available right now? Like I know catchers right now are at a very big premium throughout the league and just any leagues in general right now. So not a lot. If you got a catcher sitting around there, he's not going to be sitting around long. That's for sure.
Yeah. And the thing is with that too is that when you bring in Ansari, Junior Ibarra is really the only catcher that was on the roster normally.
Yep.
You need to give that guy a couple of days off. You're not getting him to go behind the plate for 42 straight.
No, you can't. And you're gonna wind up in there. You're gonna wind up like a Welland Jackfish situation. You're gonna have 5 and 6 days. You're gonna have to get somebody a break at some point.
Mm-hmm. To the Hamilton Cardinals, who are fourth on the list this week, dropping slightly from third spot. They went 1-1 on the week. Tyler Duncan with his first home run of the season on Friday night. Owen Boone, as you mentioned before, Neil, going on Friday. Fernando Rodney with that first home save in the IBL. What did you guys see from the Hamilton Cardinals this week?
It was nice to see them starting to get some key pieces, some key players going Friday night and then Sunday again and everything else. But then there's some other guys that are struggling right now, and it's just like they're not finding that consistency. They're just I don't know if they're trying to put the weight of the world on their shoulders right now and trying to kill a baseball, but guys have just got to settle down and say, hey, maybe a single or maybe I just got to hit this one the other way here, put it in place somewhere, let somebody else pick up the chains behind me.
Yeah, like everybody here knows baseball's hard. Let's just not make it any more harder than what it has to be. Just do the simple things. Just go back to basics. Even if, like, say you're a power hitter, just put the ball in play. Like, crazy things have happened in this league where when you put the ball in play, something could go wrong. I think they just needed to start doing that, especially on the offensive side. But yeah, Tyler Duncan, great to see him come back with a shot there. And then, Owen Boone, classic vintage Owen Boone that I've seen for years. It's get the ball.
First innings always seems to be his first inning with Boone always seems to be the roughest. After that, he seems to get his footing underneath them, and it's just like okay, good luck. The door's now closed. Sorry.
Yeah. So once he gets in that groove, like, watch out. So if you're gonna do it, you better jump on him early. But if you don't, good luck with that one.
Yeah, jump on him early, much like Yosuke Fuji did on a Friday night. But Owen Boone, guy's a player, man. You gotta get on him. All right, to the London Majors in the 3-hole this week, 5th last week, so they move up the list. 2-1 on the week. They lose to Barrie on Friday night, but a pair of wins on the road in Welland, in Brantford. The London Majors this week, guys, now at 8-4 on the season.
I was joking with Roop at lunchtime on Saturdays. It'd be great to see you guys knock them off and everything else. And it's like not an easy place to go do it, especially Welland Stadium on a big night, full house. They brought the limousine out. They had the
prom night.
It was prom night. They had the tuxedos out and everything else. It was just like they were all dressed to the nines, and then London caught them a little bit. I don't know. Maybe we got like the jilted lovers out there as far as that stuff got stuck at the prom with the wrong person out there, wrong dance partner.
I got reminded of my own prom. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Show up to it, and then everything just goes wrong.
Oh,
but it was entertaining nonetheless.
No, it was a good game. It was a good game. It's just as far as everything else, London got off to a good start, and then they pulled ahead, and then typical Jackfish fashion, they make it close,
Yeah.
and then it's just like, okay, yeah. Somehow London squeaked out that one.
Yeah. First and foremost, I want to say congratulations to Victor Piano. His wife just had a baby girl.
Awesome.
I don't know if anyone knows, but he flew back actually after the game Friday, back to the DR to witness that, and then I guess he's coming back this week, from what he said. But yeah, overall Friday night you run into Frank doing Frank things. Can't really do a whole lot with that one, but
No.
yeah, it is what it is. Welland game, like, you have a great start, and then the bullpen happened. Thankfully, Skylar was there. Or else that game probably could have gone real south. Yeah, and it would have been the other way. You know, like sometimes people's prom nights go. It would have been ruined.
Thank you for just jamming it in there.
Yeah, just stick it right through. There we go.
But you know what? Skylar pitched Friday night, somehow bounced back on the Saturday night, and threw well. But yeah, I think again, this team's gonna go as far as their starters go. I think for the most part, like I said in the preseason. But yeah, you know what? Good for them for coming out and knocking off Welland Jackfish. You know, that's again not an easy place to play. It's very hostile. Somehow, during the years here, the fans I feel get really riled up when London comes to town. I don't know. Maybe that's just a me thing, but
no,
I feel like
Welland definitely gets amped up when London comes in.
They get excited to see Cleveland.
They get excited to see Cleveland. They get excited to see other guys, but Cleveland's definitely the ones they wanted to see. And they were kind of disappointed Cleveland sat that one out on Saturday. But it happens. It happens.
Yeah, and
I'm sure he's probably at his kid's baseball tournament for crying out loud.
Yeah, they were in tournament. And but yeah, I feel like it was just it was a scrappy win. I will say that. It's very scrappy. It could have gone either way, especially near the end there. But kudos to them for figuring out a way to win. So I think that was good. And then they played Brantford on Sunday, and it's against Brantford. So wasn't much of a fight there from them, but on the London side, it was good to see them win. So.
And you know what? We're seeing it more and more as this season goes along, where Skylar Janice is putting himself into that realm of, top tier closers in the Intercounty Baseball League. I'm not saying, he's the next Davy Mendez by any means, Davy's Davy. But Skylar Janice is really starting to put himself into a good realm for himself. 8 appearances on the year. He's got a 2-1 record. Got roughed up a little bit, and I say roughed up when he only gave up the 3 runs, one of them earned on the Barry Bay Cats. But for Skylar Janice, he is really putting himself into a really good conversation among the best pitchers in the league.
Yeah, I think from what a lot of people don't know, like this guy he's a character in the room. Like he is. I will say this. I believe in this one. He is the glue to this team. Like, if he is not there, I can almost guarantee this team is not quite as close as what they are right now. He is that guy that every team wishes they had in that locker room. And I'm thankfully enough to call him a teammate. He sat next to me in the room. So he is a character. Like, he is that guy.
He's that guy.
Oh yeah,
he is him.
Awesome.
To the number 2 spot this week, 6-5 on the year, rising from the ashes of 6th place in the power rankings a week ago, the Chatham-Kent Barnstormers. 4-game winning streak, 3 of them close games, one of them a blowout. Jalen Butcher gets released. Obviously, the biggest headline for the Chatham-Kent Barnstormers this past weekend was Fergie Jenkins night, retiring the number
Yeah.
for Fergie Jenkins. He ends up showing up on Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame weekend. But I do want to start off. We'll touch on Fergie in just a moment because he is deserved his due. But I want to get to the stuff onto the field here. 4 games since last Tuesday. And Neil, we touched on it last week where, the question marks were really around trying to figure out, their pitching and, trying to figure out how to close games out. At least in the last 4 games, when you look at 3 close contests, 2 of them one-run games, another 2-run game, their pitching really came out and helped them out this past week, it seems.
No question it did, and it was great to see them starting to put it together. Look at the game Tuesday night. Of course, you were doing lacrosse Tuesday night, so I was bugging the wrong person the whole night. So that's beside the point. But it was just like,
I'll forgive
okay,
you.
so yeah, it was just like they went out they knew they were playing in a very unfriendly place for them, but they've had success there in the past. Like I think they've won 3 times in 2 years now in Hastings Stadium, which is. Usually, that's a pretty daunting task unless you're the Welland Jackfish or you're like somebody like that. That can go in there with announce your presence with authority. But these guys quietly went about their business Tuesday night. They got the job done. They scrapped their way to get the runs and across when they needed to, and they handed the ball off to Garrett Day in the 9th inning. And yeah, he got the job done. And you go Friday night. You go Friday night against Brantford, and they had to do the same sort of scenarios. Like they gave up the lead early. But they weren't. They were able to shut the door and keep the game close, and work the way back into it. And then Saturday night, well, it was the Evan Morrison show. Saturday night, that was just everything he touched last night. It was like he swung at a pitch at his eyeballs and he hit it over the fence.
Maybe they took what we said last week personal. Maybe.
I'm pretty sure that I wouldn't be surprised because I know they all listen to the they listen to the podcast. They watch the videos because I got a phone call this afternoon and. That's okay.
That's all you're gonna reveal. Just phone call.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Say what?
For my own thinking, this might be the highest Chatham's ever been in the power rankings since it's.
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, I think
which is
I'm pretty sure
cool.
it is.
So maybe they're. I don't know if this is the right wording to say, but maybe they're just young, as the saying goes, young and dumb enough to just believe in this and just keep it rolling. And you know what? If what we said fueled them to finally figure it out and do the job, hey, good for them.
And then last night it was just like, you know what? They didn't hit the ball a lot. Neither did Hamilton. But they made the most of their opportunity in the 3rd inning. They got 2 runs across. They played well defensively. They played absolutely well defensively. They didn't give Hamilton anything, despite the times that Hamilton got base runners and everything else going. They didn't give him anything. They were able to get out there. They got a great start from O'Connor, and then they got Brock Woodson went out there for a couple innings, and they handed the ball off again to Garrett Day, and he was just like, okay, boom, boom, boom.
Sometimes it's not how, but how many, right? So get the job done and move on to the next. So it's cool. It's kind of cool to see them do this because they're a young group. They don't know any better. So it's just fun watching how this has progressed, right? From the whole starting of the Chatham Barnstormers, go through a full year, figure out what they are or what they need, start slow, and then kind of just flip of a switch, kind of do their thing now. So it's really cool to watch.
And now to just talk about Fergie Jenkins' night. Retiring number 31 before the game, the number unveiled in their outfield. Fergie, as we alluded to, on scene, a legend in the sport, and obviously his namesake on that field where the Barnstormers play. What'd you guys make of what they were able to do for Fergie this past weekend?
Well, I think it was just a great touch, and and kudos to Fergie and his whole family. Of course, they started their day in St. Mary's awful early on Saturday morning too. Actually, Friday. Fergie played in the golf tournament. I think it was the second round of 18 in 2 years here because he had surgery and everything else. But yeah, he played 18 on Friday. and then went to did all the festivities in St. Mary's. There's a couple of autograph signings, there's everything else, photo ops, whole bit, presenting awards to various people, inducting various people, handing out jackets. Then he gets in the car and drives all the way up to Chatham-Kent in a hurry. And then he's there and he was there early and tough. He's out there and unveiling his banner. And then he's on the broadcast with Chris and Mike and Ed for, an inning and a half. And he was telling stories, and it was just great to listen to those guys banter and everything else. And I think they were having a better conversation off the air than they were on the air. Because, Ed, you get Ed and Fergie going, and it's just like, okay, wow. To be a fly on the wall.
Hey, maybe they have an after dark section as well.
I think it's cool how he keeps coming back and not donating his time, but giving time to this league to make it more seen, right? He doesn't have to do that. He really doesn't. For the most part, most guys of his generation, they're not going to. No offense, but they're not going to go to another league and say, "Oh, hey, let's display this for everyone to see." That doesn't happen often. So that kind of shows he still cares and he doesn't forget where he's from, which I think is super cool. I had the pleasure of meeting him when he came to London. I think I was one of the few that actually got to shake his hand. So, player wise. So for me, I'm a nerd and I know who Fergie Jenkins is. I know the story and all that. So I thought that for me that was cool, and I'll always have that. But especially for the younger guys in Chatham, they might not all know of Fergie Jenkins and what he has accomplished and what he's done in the game of baseball. So the fact that they were able to maybe even learn or even just witness him being there, I think it's huge too, just for the team, community, baseball in general. So I think it was a very positive night for them.
No question. And, of course, you're always worried when you're the home team on a night like that you're going to come out flat because you're standing around for a lot longer than you're wanting to. You're not sure when the game's exactly going to start and everything else. So if you're the starting pitcher, you got to put it out of your mind. You guys are going up there to bat, and then boom, they put up a 3 spot in the first inning. So that didn't affect them, thankfully.
No.
An excellent job, and they really rolled out the red carpet and did an excellent job on Saturday night for Fergie Jenkins night. And Chatham-Kent Barnstorm was on a 4-game winning streak. Let's see if they can keep things rolling. We're going to keep things rolling now to number 1 on the list. They remain in top spot for another week, the Welland Jackfish, although they are no longer undefeated. Their first loss of the season, giving up 6 runs in the 5th inning against the London Majors. They fall to London. They rebounded nicely against the Toronto Maple Leafs, but Prom Night was not a fun night for the Welland Jackfish this week.
No. It reminds me from the scene in Greece when John Travolta's thinking about getting stranded at the drive-in. What are they going to say next day at school? Well, they got the answer. They got the answer the next day, that's for sure. They went out there with the bats and clubbed the poor Maple Leafs. But yeah, it was just the 5th inning. It was just the hats off to the London Majors. They strung together single, all off Ben Abrams. They weren't hitting the ball really hard. They were just singles up the middle, doing things they had to do. And that was just, it has to happen. They're human after all. Has to happen eventually. They're humans. It's not Drago. They're not going to, we're not going to, he's a machine. They're going to be whatever. It's not going to be like that. It's just not going to be like that. I think I'm throwing every reference possibly out there tonight. I'm almost thinking it's Rodney Dangerfield, and there we go. They get
every movie that you're putting out there for me right now.
I think
pretty much.
For Ben Abrams, I think that was a blip because you don't often see that, right? It's just okay, great, cool. They scored 5 runs. All right, get me out of the game. Let's redo everything. I'll be back next start. And speaking to him last year, I kind of got a feel that he'll take it a little bit personal, and we might see something cool his next start.
Well, just the next start. I don't want to be the team face of him on the next start.
Oh no!
Do not want to be that. Do not want to be those guys.
No, he'll be an angry.
It's gonna be double digits probably after 3.5 innings, as far as strikeouts go. You ain't touching this crap.
Well, they are quite busy this upcoming week. They'll play. Well, we're taping this Monday night, but you guys are listening to this on Tuesday. They will play against the Guelph Royals at Hastings Stadium tonight, and then into Kitchener on Thursday night. Depending on the amount of time that's passed, I don't know if Ben Abram goes in either one of those games, but you never know. Maybe he wants to go on Thursday at minimum just to kind of get that last start out of his mind.
Yeah.
Well, Welland's got 5 and 6 actually, 5 and 6 days this week. So it's just like, yeah, no, they're
Be a
actually
long
playing
one.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Actually, there's a Wednesday night game as one of their makeups against. I think it's Hamilton. Actually, it's a makeup game
right,
Wednesday
yep.
night in Welland.
Yep.
So it's just like, yeah, it's gonna be, it's tough sledding right now, but they've got definitely. It's gonna test the bullpen. It's gonna test the bullpen. It's gonna test the rotation. But these guys are battle tested, and these guys are, they've all played at professional levels and higher levels. They're going to be out there, and they're going to take it like the professionals they are, and they're going to go out there and probably take some names.
Oh yeah, I'll put this out there. Ryan might love this idea, okay? Because he'll probably tell the fellas, "Hey, we need to do this." If the Welland Jackfish go a perfect record this week, okay? Next Monday, I will don the Welland Jackfish Hawaiian shirt.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man.
Ryan, if you're watching, you know what to do. Especially if you want to see me wear this logo.
Oh man, my phone's
I
gonna blow up
know
tonight.
you are waiting for that to happen.
Tuesday afternoon, my phone's just gonna go bing, 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 bing. Like 7 different jackfish bugging all after me.
Robert Mullen, you know what to do, sir. Put the team on your back.
Hey, what did Al Davis always say? Just win, baby. Just win.
Just win. There you go.
All right. 1 through 9 this week goes Welland, Chatham-Kent, London, Hamilton, Kitchener, Toronto, Barrie, Brantford, and Guelph. When we come back, we got a whole lot more to get to, including Caden Cardoso getting the call up to the Ottawa Titans. Stay with us. This is the IBL Inside Pitch.
Get ready, Hamilton. It's the 2025 IBL Home Run Derby and All-Star Game. Hosted by the Hamilton Cardinals at beautiful Bernie Arbor Stadium. Watch the league's top sluggers crush moonshots in the Derby. Then see the best of the best go head-to-head under the lights in the All-Star Game. Grab your tickets now at HamiltonCardinals.com. Because this summer, the stars shine brightest in Hamilton.
Welcome back to the IBL Inside Pitch. Neil, Braeden, and Mark here with you. The IBL All-Star Game happening in Hamilton. Get your tickets now at HamiltonCardinals.com. It's going to be a great day. When's the day, Neil?
Sunday, July 20th.
I love it. Get on down to Bernie Arbor Stadium on Sunday, July 20th. Home Run Derby and the All-Star Game. Well, Caden Cardoso made himself quite the move in the last week, getting called up to the Ottawa Titans. He looked pretty good in Titans uniform this past week as well. But it also sets up the question on how it works between the IBL and the Frontier League and that transfer, if you will, going up, going down. How does it all work in terms of the eligibility of playing? Because we did see that Caden didn't actually play a game for the London Majors this past weekend.
That is correct, yes. So, yeah, he gets called up and everything else. As long as he's still on the active roster, there's no big difference because I know Yerky Narita last year with the Guelph Royals did it over the Canada Day weekend. The Titans found themselves a little shorthanded, so they went up there, pitched a couple innings up there for him and everything else. But, yeah, it's just a matter of it's really up to the teams to decide what they want to do. If it's just like it's a loaner for a couple of games, something like that, they probably don't touch their roster. But if he's going to be gone for, I don't know, a prolonged amount of time and everything else, they might put them on the inactive list. And they got to be careful how they do that, too, because, then they have to sit there for 15 days before they can come off it. So you got to be careful how you do it as far as roster management goes and everything else. So it's a delicate situation in this league.
Is it kind of a similar situation in terms of the relationships where Roop might talk to the manager of the Ottawa Titans, knowing that this is coming, to be like, okay, what is that communication kind of like? Does it vary in between teams, or I guess what is that
I think it
conversation
does.
like?
As far as I think it definitely varies, and as far as everything else goes, like I know it's been Ottawa's been definitely calling a lot of guys up and down over the last couple of years. As far as that stuff goes, you saw it a little bit with Quebec, but it's not as much. Like it's just as again, it's a distance thing too. It's just like it's a long drive out there too. So it's like okay, yeah, you're not going to just do it for whatever, and you're not going to be up there for a day and then come home again. As far as that stuff goes, but it's probably a conversation they probably have in advance with the ownership and everything else, the managers. I know last year I think Dino and Sean Fuller and everything else had advanced notice with Yuki and everything else as far as what they were planning as far as the rotation and everything else. And it's just like, okay, fine, he's going to be gone for probably about a week or so. So they didn't bother changing. They didn't put him on the inactive list and didn't move anything around because they didn't feel the need to because they knew they weren't going to use him in that week and everything else. So it's just like, okay, fine. As long as he's not on their active roster when he comes back. As far as that's what the other thing is. You can't be on their active roster and playing in this league, obviously, too, because they don't want you double dipping, which happened in the past.
Yeah.
Which happened in the past. There were some guys in London that do it a little too much. There was a guy in Toronto that did a little bit too much too, and it was actually kind of the same guy went to back and forth between those guys. So
yeah,
we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, like I'll play devil's advocate. It's like because you would know again way more than I would ever know. But like, what if like Caden plays himself into a situation where he ain't coming back? Then what?
Oh, exactly.
Then what?
Well, then Roop has to make a decision here as far as his roster goes. Okay, do I need the spot? Exactly. He's not, and the other thing is, okay, if they come back, they're it's when they come back too. They have to be qualified for playoffs. So it's like. Caden's right now. He doesn't have the. I don't think he might have the at bats, but I don't think like if he was a pitcher, he definitely would not have the games.
No.
So there's qualification rules for playoffs and everything else too. So that's what they ran into with Garrett Takamatsu a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I remember.
He was up there, and then the league made a big hubbub about it because he was coming back after the deadline. And it's just like, well, he's not. He's on our active roster. Can we put him off? When they had injuries and they legitimately had nobody else. I think they wound up with the commissioner finally took a little, I don't know, tossed him a proverbial bone here, but it wasn't Takamatsu. They were allowed to sign somebody else from somewhere else. It was hard as like a junior call-up or something as an emergency replacement.
Yeah, I remember that. That was playoff series against us.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're going to go from one topic that Neil's quite the specialty in to a topic that Braeden might actually be quite the specialist in. We actually got a question into our inbox over the last week or so. Thank you to Matt Hope for sending this one in. A reminder, you can send in your questions anytime. Comment either on YouTube or Spotify or Apple. We'll get to them. Definitely want to keep those questions coming, or you can send an email to IBL Inside Pitch at gmail.com. That's IBL Inside Pitch at gmail.com. Out of curiosity, from a player's perspective, I want to know where players think is the more hostile place to play when visiting their opponents. Not in like a life-threatening way where the fans are just belligerent, the place where they find the fans to be the most obnoxious and loudest in the best way, and the fans being towards visiting teams. I have a couple of ideas, but I'm not the one playing the games. Braeden, you played 10 years in this league. What say you of that question?
So, in my personal opinion, because as some people know in this league, I'm very social media driven.
Yeah.
Welland fans love to have something to grasp onto and then try to tell you you're wrong or they're better than you, and then use a player try to shut them up, I guess. Me as a player, I loved playing in Welland because I knew it was going to be one of those sink or swim moments. For example, I did have a certain situation where I think this was in 22, where we had a young fan. Bullpen was actually, the bench was on that concrete slab there. That's like maybe like 8 feet or 6 feet up. And we had a kid always like kind of like throw popcorn, water's going down, right? It happened all game. So whatever. I kind of had enough. I had a cup of water there and I just like threw it up. Didn't care who was there. But it was just like, it gets to a point where sometimes it's, you know, it is what it is. But as a player, I loved going into Welland. And then just because from the visiting aspect, they absolutely try to get on your nerve. But as a player, you try to just make it numb, right? And you want to do your best to keep things quiet. But then I got the flip side of it last year when I was at the All-Star game, got to play on the home side. And that was like, I was treated like royalty. It was the coolest thing ever. I had brought out the glove, like my clear glove. People remembered that, talked to everybody after the game. They all loved it. And I was like, guys, remember, I am here next week, but not on the home side. So treat me like
please be nice.
Treat me like a long lost king that's coming back home. Like, remember that, okay? Like, don't forget. But
keep my throne warm, please. Yeah. yeah. Like I loved Welland. But Neil probably back a couple years before I got into the groove of this league, I would say just from visually watching it on YouTube, I would say probably Brantford during the dynasty. I would say he was hostile. Yeah, Brantford. Okay, so I would definitely say the bitterest rivals in probably the last 2 decades. Brantford, Toronto, Brantford, Guelph.
Yeah.
I would say Barry, Toronto, Barry, Welland. Not really bitter, but there is definitely animosity between those two teams.
Yeah.
Guelph and Welland right now is just going to be, you may have to call security in Welland. No, I'm serious. You may have to call security in Welland because, like, you know, it's just it's just push comes to shove, shoves come to push. Things have been smashed in dressing rooms and things like that. So, you know, it's like, okay, yeah. So it's gonna be ugly.
Those are the games. Those are the games you get fired up for.
Yeah.
Like for example, I know like this is I don't know if I should even tell this story. It is what it is. So this was, I believe,
get the popcorn out, folks.
Yeah. I think this was 19. No, it can't be 19. It was 21 or 22 for sure. When it was against Welland again. I forget who it was. Who got like the stolen base record?
Oh,
it was Brandon Nicholson.
Yes. Just kept going. It didn't matter the score. And like at the end of the game, we got an absolute earful. Like that's thrown. Like whoever was outside of that room was probably like, I really don't want to come close to this area. So it was just like, okay, the build up for the next game is to try to not let this happen ever. And like he just kept doing it. And then like for the record, I did pick him off at third base for the record. But it was just like you just the animosity between some teams over some things, you just as a player, you kind of get amped up and you're like, okay, like I know what situation's going to happen here. Or again, the fan base, you know what's going to happen. So you kind of got to fight that battle, but still play in your own element. And it's just, that's why you play the game, like to get the blood going, to get the heartbeat going. Like that's what these players want. It's not like, oh, la-di-da, go in. But even that, like on the flip side, to the, I guess, reverse of that question, it's like teams going into Christie Pitts on a Sunday, like it's a relaxed vibe, you know, like players don't want that. So Yeah, to back to the question, Mark.
Not so long ago. Back then, you go into Christie Pitts on a Sunday and go, yeah, okay, these guys are not going to let you win here. They're just not going to. Like, there was a period in the 2000s where it's like it was impossible to win at that place. If Toronto ever gets back to that level again, watch out.
That's amazing. But Mark, back to your question, I'd say Welland for sure. I loved it there. Some players don't thrive in that situation. Me, I loved it.
It's a great answer.
There you go.
It's a great answer. And
Hopefully
part of
that was
that's
good.
the cold open for this week, by the way.
Yep. So my question to the fans watching at home and in Radio Land and TV Land and everything else is, who's the most hated franchise in the league right now? Like, who's the most hated? Like, honestly, because I get it from different places, and it's always it's the same team. I'm not going to say who it is because I don't want the drama. I don't want to be another talking head getting more drama. I just don't want to be it.
Oh man.
I'm going to leave it at that.
Neil, did you just give homework?
I did.
All right.
That was so like nonchalant. Just threw it out there.
Yeah, just throw it out there.
Like most of my teachers, we talk about prom night. I never got homework after prom night.
But they all feel bad for you or something? What happened?
Yes.
Is there a story of legend here we have to have on an After Dark that it just has to be put out here now? Is there a young lady somewhere with a jilted lover, like a jilted broken heart somewhere? Or is this the scene from Carrie? And another movie reference came out of nowhere.
There is a place in Guelph.
Yeah.
There's a time and a place for everything, Neil, and it's called After Dark. Maybe we'll record that someday.
Maybe someday.
Anyway, I want to get to our final topic. I just want to, send a shout out to Ray Brownlee. Unfortunately, came out of the game. He was the first base umpire in the Kitchener-Guelph game on Sunday in Kitchener. And it was just one of those weird bounces, those weird turns. Jordan Mandalay ends up hitting a ground ball, throwing error by the second baseman official, takes Liam Wilson off the bag, and we didn't know where the ball was. Jordan keeps his eye on the ball, and the second he turns his head because he's thinking, okay, let's just stretch this into a double, Ray Brownlee trying to be in position to make the call, no fault of his own, ends up getting absolutely bowled over by Mandalay. And it was interesting too, because Mandalay ends up going to check on Brownlee, and you see the catcher coming into the frame, actually applies the tag, officially called out on the U2. Shout out to Bono. It was a very weird play, but most importantly on that play, the thoughts of everybody on the health of Ray Brownlee there coming out of the game. So hopefully we see him in a ballpark near you sooner rather than later. Hopefully. All right, I got that off my chest.
There you go.
Anything else before we go, guys? Unload the airing of any thoughts that are left on your sheets.
I think we've covered most of the stuff. It's been great watching these guys and new stories every week as far as, guys coming out of nowhere and having great weeks and learning about these guys and their little pasts and everything else. It's great as far as that stuff goes. It's great to be able to tell stories like that once again.
Yeah. Need to maybe not next week. Maybe next week or the week after. We need to do a rundown of some of these jerseys that you're wearing.
The jerseys.
So I'm a big fashion guy.
Jerseys.
Yeah, because we're starting to see some unique ones, and I'd like to have even the viewers have your take on it, because fans' opinions.
So you're gonna steal my
matter.
You're gonna steal my November plans again. So we usually had the ultimate jersey showdown last year. So
right.
We're gonna have to
I remember
so
that.
That's fine.
I remember
we'll
that.
have a little more fun with it.
We're gonna
Hamilton's bringing back the baby blues on Friday.
There we go. See, we're starting to see it. Let's roll them out.
So
don't be scared.
So Braeden's jersey power rankings coming up next week.
Yeah, these teams are not ready for it. Not ready. I'm gonna be very critical. and whoever wants to chime in on it, be ready.
All right.
Got 2 homework assignments this week. Then,
Two
there we go.
homework assignments. That's a record here on the show. 2 homework assignments and a whole lot of fun this past week, and hopefully another bit of fun coming up this upcoming week. Very quickly, as we touched on before, tonight it is the lone game in the IBL. The Guelph Royals hosting the Welland Jackfish. That is a 7:30 first pitch.
There's actually 2 on
There
Tuesday
are
night.
2
Brantford's
games.
playing. Brantford. Oh, we also going to mention Brantford's changed their start times for the rest of the year.
That's right. Yes.
Yes. I have to mention that too. Brantford is going from 8 o'clock to 7:15 now, so we're going to have some interesting discussions and dilemmas here if the sun is in center field around 8 o'clock or so. So we'll have to see how that goes.
Maybe this will turn around their losing streak to some winnings.
Well, Neil, as I texted you earlier, by the 5th inning, you're going to have the you know the meme from SpongeBob SquarePants, and you have the fish going, "My eyes!" That's going to be every batter in the league playing in Brantford at 8 o'clock. So roughly around the 5th inning. I'm guesstimating that's when it's going to be.
Yeah, I wonder how
they're all sitting there going. They're all going to be hoping they have the Mr. Burns, sun catcher or whatever. What did Burns call that thing? Anyways, that episode where he got shot by a toddler.
Do you remember what it was called? But
yeah,
I know it just blocked out
giant
the sun.
Yeah, that's what they're going to need in Brantford. Either a giant batter's eye or something. They're going to need something out there.
Well, they might have to take a page out of the Boston Red Sox playbook and maybe get a green monster and put that into that portion of the field.
That'd be cool.
You have a big fence in left, now you're gonna have something in center field too. Okay, good luck. It's turning into like kind of Earl Weaver baseball from the '80s here. Good luck hitting the ball out of the park now.
Hey, it's like making a custom ball park on the show.
Yeah.
Just keep that ball in play. That's all we need. No home runs.
Play it off the wall.
Yep, play it off the wall. Maybe you can get it inside the Parker. So yeah, once again, Toronto at Brantford at 7:15, Welland at Guelph at 7:30. Wednesday has a couple of games, Thursday a couple of games too. We got games pretty much every day this week, except for on the 16th. So there's going to be no shortage of topics to touch on in the next episode of the IBL Inside Pitch. It won't be after dark. It's going to be our usual time, same place, same channel. He's Neil. He's Braeden. I'm Mark saying so long and see you next time. And don't forget your homework assignments.
Happy Father's Day, everybody.
That's right.